Happy Monday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devil Show. I am Anthony Totri. We've got Eric Ruby here as well and DJ Danielle pushing all the buttons behind the scenes and making it happen. And it is a beautiful, beautiful Monday to be an Arizona State Sun Devil. Eric Ruby, do you know why? Do you know why it's a beautiful day to be an ASU Sun Devil?
Oh, I've got a couple reasons why, and I'm ready to go through all of them. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, my goodness. Well, if you're an Arizona State fan and maybe you weren't scouring the internet over the weekend, okay, we're here to tell you that Jedd Fisch is no longer the head football coach of the Arizona Wildcats. Jedd Fisch is moving on, and he is now set to be the head football coach for the Washington Huskies. And my goodness, Arizona, you guys are down bad. All the Wildcats coming at me in the mentions and the comments and all that stuff. My goodness, it is so damn sweet. So damn sweet because it's just getting started, Eric. With Fisch heading to Washington, the portal now opens for 30 days for all Arizona football players, and it is going to be interesting to see over the next 24 hours, probably 24 to 72 hours, just to see what transpires in Tucson.
I'm ready for the future, but let's also talk about the past. Let's talk about how you called it first and foremost, and we kind of laid this whole thing out. Let's talk about a missed call in the UW ASU game, leading Washington to an undefeated record. DeBoer goes to Alabama, and then it leads to, of course, Jedd Fisch leaving and going up north. And listen, all these UofA fans in the comments right now. So it's so sad. You're making a whole show about this. Do you understand what would happen if Kenny Dillingham left Arizona State right now? Like, do people understand, like, UofA fans would be doing the same thing? And you know what? Like, how sad is it that you could have in a program in literally such a good position, literally on the precipice of being something great in college football? You have this amazing college town that everybody talks about how amazing it is that went there, but nobody else does. And then you got all these great players. Oh, you're moving to the Big 12. That's awesome. Your coach doesn't care. He didn't care. He left the first chance he could get. The first chance.
It's so damn
the literal
awesome, man.
First chance. Oh,
literally, and to a better opportunity, right? The idea that Arizona, that program is a stepping stone. That is not the place that Jedd Fisch wanted to be for his entire career. And what makes this
he told me he was going to stay. He told me he was going to stay.
And we'll
the contract extension was going to work out.
We've got some videos and photos that we're going to show you guys a little bit later into the show that is just going to make, again, everything so much sweeter if you're an Arizona State Sun Devil. Guys, if you're new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you enjoy about this podcast. But Eric, you brought it up just in terms of Kenny Dillingham. What would happen if, right? And that's what makes this so much better to be on the other side of that coin, because we don't have to play in a world where we have to talk about the if for Kenny Dillingham. This is his dream job. He grew up in the Valley. He wants to be an Arizona State Sun Devil, right? And we'll get into the implications of Fisch leaving and what it means for Arizona State down the line. But I just want to touch on the fact that as an ASU, as somebody who covers ASU, as somebody who's close with a lot of people within the program, from a fan's perspective to a player's perspective, et cetera, like, that's what makes this so much better, right? Is they've got the guy. And there were probably UofA fans after year one of Jedd Fisch, after year two of Jedd Fisch, that said, you know what? This isn't the guy. This isn't the guy that they want to lead the program. And those are the same fans probably sitting here today feeling one of two things: either absolute anger toward Jedd Fisch because of the way things transpired. And I'm here to tell you that's not all on Jedd Fisch. You guys can look to your athletic director in that entire program as to the way things were kind of fumbled after the Alamo Bowl. So you're either feeling angry or you're feeling sad, right? But if you feel that level of sadness, it's because you actually believed in Jedd Fisch. You believed that the program of the Arizona Wildcats was going to turn into something. And I had a phone call with somebody earlier today that is a diehard Arizona Wildcat fan and was like, you know what? The situation as it stands right now is, yes, it sucks Jedd Fisch is leaving. If they can find a way to try and retain Noah Fifita and some of their other star players, then maybe they'll be, all right. But if those guys hit the portal, man, Arizona's back to square one. You're back to being where you were just a couple of years ago.
I mean, that's kind of what we're already looking at. Like, there are already players who are entering the portal. And sure, I mean, it's better off as a program after a great season like that, with or without the same coach. Like, you're going to be in a better spot than you were a couple years ago. But that's not all the shit that U of A fans were talking beforehand. Okay,
Yeah.
They were talking about this is going to be something that's like a dynasty, the best football team in the Big 12. Jedd Fisch is going to be the best coach in the Big 12, and now your program is left without direction. And I'm not sorry about it at all, because everybody was just so on it. Everybody was shitting on everything in Tempe, and now if you're looking at the outlook for the next 5 years, I don't know, call me crazy. I think I would rather put my trust in the Arizona State football program, because I know who's going to be leading them and how they're going to be leading them, than U of A, because whoever's going to replace Fisch is either going to be a disappointment because they're not going to be the same, or, I don't know if they're going to be able to reach that same heights. And if they do, guess what's going to happen? They're going to leave, just like Jedd did. It's unfortunate if you're a U of A fan. It's not unfortunate if you're not. So that's why everybody's in here today.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, Jonah Coleman, the Arizona running back, was a top 5 running back according to PFF. He has entered the transfer portal. Again, one of what is expected to be probably multiple Arizona Wildcats hitting the transfer portal. One thing that I do want to bring up, and there's a lot of great comments in the chat we'll get to, but I want to address something that I had talked about probably a week and a half ago in terms of the Arizona and the Arizona State rivalry, right? That both these teams need to be at their peak for this rivalry to really be something that everybody cares about on a national scale, right? You're not rooting for the other program's failure. Yes, you can hate them. Yes, you don't want to see them succeed. And that's where we're at. So when we posted the video of, talking about us popping bottles if Jedd Fisch left for Washington, right? This was days before it actually happened. There were people in the comments talking about, oh my goodness, what happened to both these programs need to be at the top for it to mean anything. That hasn't changed, but you're never going to see me ever dancing when the Arizona Wildcats are succeeding. And mind you, I'm saying this acknowledging the fact that Kenny Dillingham and the Arizona State Sun Devils, they still have room to grow. They're not a top 25 team, a top 15 team next year, not in my personal opinion, right? So you lose Jedd Fisch for Arizona. Does that immediately sink the ship in Tucson? I don't know if it sinks it yet. We'll see who they hire after the fact, but it gets you closer to where Dilly and company is. So for all the people coming at me in the comments and the mentions about the rivalry, oh my goodness, what happened? Pick a side. Do you want us to both be good or do you want us to both be bad? Well, at this point, you're far more close to even than you were, 72 hours ago, right? Like, that's where this needs to be. It's going to be beautiful at a certain point, I'm sure. But by no means do I want to see the Arizona Wildcats be a top 10 football team and the Arizona State Sun Devils not even sniffing a bowl game. That's not at all what I was talking about.
No. And I think that there's definitely it's going to mean more if both teams are doing well. And then to address some comments, the lovely Saul Bookman's in there said, no one said dynasty, Eric. We all prepared for Fisch to leave next season. LOL. And then also, I don't care how loyal he is. If the big dogs offered Kenny twice as much and more NIL to play with, he'd leave to LMAO. Do you think that's true?
Do I think Kenny Dillingham would leave if somebody offered him double the money? No.
If let's just say, hypothetically, in the same situation as Jedd Fisch was, ASU program turns around in a couple years, really good numbers, everybody's talking about it, and then a top-ish school, let's say some that's going to be contending, comes to Kenny and says, we'll give you double. I mean, I know a lot of people would. Yeah, I know a lot of people would, but him specifically, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so at all, because there's something to be said about having your dream job, about being comfortable where you're at, right? People, every single person has a dream in terms of what they want to do. Okay. For Kenny Dillingham to go from a GA at Arizona State to coaching at the high school ranks in Arizona to meeting his wife and the mother of his child at Arizona State, who was an Arizona State cheerleader, I believe, or on the dance team, to having his kid here. He's got family here. He doesn't want to leave. So you can throw money at him. That's fine. Guess what? If he succeeds at Arizona State, they're going to give him more money. That's the way it goes. Now, yes, he may not have the money that they make over at Bama or Oregon or Washington, but that doesn't necessarily mean so much to him, right? If I have my dream job, right? I'm close to family. I am exactly where I want to be, where I grew up, everything. This is where I've worked my entire career to get. And I'm only 32, 33 years old, and I'm making $1.5 million to be happy where I'm at. And you say, you know what? How about you move your whole life to, I don't know, Tuscaloosa for $3 million? Am I really going to make that jump if I'm happy here? I don't think so. If I've worked my entire career to go here, then I don't think so.
There's a big part of it in where when Kenny started and when he was talking about it being his dream job and he was talking about staying here and putting in the work and wanting to keep people in Arizona State Sun Devil if they want to be for life. Excuse me. Jedd was saying the same thing. Jedd was talking about loyalty. Jedd was talking about trust and even in interviews saying that he's going to be there. And it's like, those were not empty promises from Kenny like they were from Jedd. And you can tell when somebody is being sincere, and that man's being sincere. He's not going to sit up there. And you know what? If he does, we're going to do an emergency podcast, and we're probably going to break him down into little bitty pieces because he completely goes against his word. But I don't think that's going to happen, because he has just proven through and through that not only is he thrilled with where he wants to be, but that he truly believes in here as well. And if you sit up there and you sell yourself to a bunch of high school recruits and transfer portal candidates, and you say, we want people who want to be here and buy in and commit, and then you go jump ship, like, people are going to remember that, especially because Kenny's been way more forthright with it from the beginning than Jedd ever was, even though he still was committing to it. So anybody who thinks, okay, you know, Dilly's going to leave at the first opportunity to get to the most money, I just don't think they fully grasp the situation that goes into what Kenny Dillingham is doing at Arizona State. Plus, like, this is a big university. They're going to have a deep pool of money to go from, especially if the football program is at a place where Kenny's going to try to get poached from somebody else. It's all going to work together. And I don't see this happening. I imagine the next 5, I don't even know, maybe 10 years if I'm getting crazy. Like, I see Kenny Dillingham at Tempe, like, coaching the football team. That's just how I see it.
No, you're absolutely right. I do want to get to some comments in the chat because I think everybody's bringing up some really valuable points here. Again, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a 5-star review if you're new here. Starting with Short Bus, even if Kenny did ever leave, it would probably be to coach the Cardinals, so he could still stay home, right? Again, a dude who has talked time and again about growing up in the Valley, being fans of Arizona sports. Kenny Dillingham wants to be an Arizona State Sun Devil, yes, but more than he wants to be an Arizona State Sun Devil, Kenny Dillingham is an Arizona State Sun Devil. It would be the same as if one of us, right, was a GA on the football team, went to Arizona State, you grew up here, you went to high school here, you started a family here, you're not leaving. And that gets me to Ralph and Will, kind of what they're saying. Ralph's comment, millennial brains work different than Gen X coaches. They've watched dudes chase the money for 20 years only to eventually get run out everywhere they go. Not only get run out everywhere you go, but when you get to a certain age in this industry and you've consistently made it a priority to always find the next best thing, by the time you hit 60 in this industry, if you've done that time and again, look at Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly is hated across the nation in specific areas because of the way he leaves programs. Jedd Fisch will never be welcome back in Tucson ever again for the way that he left the Arizona Wildcats. Kenny Dillingham, again, he doesn't want that, okay? He's not chasing the money. That's not what he's doing. And that gets me to Will's point. Tony, different priorities and values. That's Kenny Dillingham. He's got different priorities and different values. Again, I would feel again, I haven't met Jedd Fisch. I haven't had a conversation with Jedd Fisch, so I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of who he is as a person. I'm sure he's a great human being, but I can say with 110% certainty that if Kenny Dillingham were in a hypothetical situation to ever leave the Arizona State football program, that there would be a longer team meeting than 3 minutes. I guarantee you there would be a longer team meeting than 3 minutes because the man that Kenny Dillingham is, his very first time that he met these guys, the very first time that he met Arizona State Sun Devils, that he didn't even recruit to Tempe, he sat in that meeting room, kicked off his shoes, and started crying. That's how much it means to Kenny Dillingham. He wants to be an Arizona State Sun Devil. Okay? Ralph, another great point. Lanning and Dilly are new school. They're here until you fire them. Dan Lanning, another great example of a guy who just simply enjoys where he is at. Yes, Dan Lanning could have been the head coach at Alabama. I firmly believe that. And I think he would have been successful. But guess what? He believes in what they're building at Oregon. Okay? He's happy where he's at Oregon. So if Dan Lanning, one of the top coaches in all of college football, wouldn't bounce to probably the most historic football program over the last 2 decades, if he's not leaving, tell me Kenny's going to bounce? And again, we're talking about this years before this would even realistically be a topic of conversation for Kenny Dillingham.
Listen, the reality is that if for some reason Kenny ever leaves, he's going to be leaving the program in an incredible place because he probably just won a national championships or something like that, and now he's going to retire. Like it's not something that's going to happen unless there's some crazy circumstances that lead up to the most, like, I don't know, unlikely event that could ever happen. And I want to focus a little bit more on the 3-minute meeting because that's the type of thing that you do when you simply don't care. And as much as some U of A fans would like to believe that players are going to stick it out and see it through, like, I'm sure some will, but you know how bad of a taste that leaves in your mouth? And if you have the opportunity to go somewhere else where you can actually feel appreciated, because it doesn't really matter what other people do for you, because this was the head coach. This was the guy that sat in your room and recruited you. This is the guy that is literally talking to you about being a Wildcat and, oh, how important it is. And he's going to be there for you. And then within the span of 5 minutes, you learn that he's leaving. And then you see a video posted on Twitter of him signing his contract in his Tucson home. Like, it's dirty. It's a dirty game. They got screwed over. And I do feel bad, like, on a personal level for the players there who completely got blindsided, who got recruited by him, who had no idea that all of this was coming. Like, not on some ASU U of A rivalry stuff. Like, for that to happen to anybody, it's unfair, it's cruel, and it just goes to show why you should also not have a problem with how players handle the transfer portal. Because at the first opportunity, 95% of these coaches are turning around and doing the same thing, probably even dirtier than a player would. So I don't blame players for wanting to leave. And even if it doesn't benefit ASU, like, I wouldn't blame them for just being like, you know what? It doesn't matter who they hire as a replacement. It doesn't matter how amazing the city of Tucson is. None of that matters. Like, I'm leaving. I'm sorry. I can't be here anymore. I was promised something different, and I personally got screwed over. I would be infuriated. I don't blame any of them for that.
No, you're absolutely right. And just to point something out, again, that 3-minute team meeting, Eric, you started that rant right there. That was about a minute and a half. Add another minute and a half, and that was how long it took Jedd Fisch to say goodbye to kids that he recruited out of homes, that he recruited out of other schools, that he said and committed to that the Arizona Wildcats were the program that he was going to help elevate and change, right? Again, for Arizona, and I think that not just the Arizona Wildcats, it's maybe where you're starting to see football go, college football, even the pros, right? Where you want a guy who wants to be with that program more so than, hey, let's go get the best guy possible, especially when you're talking about programs like Arizona State, like the Arizona Wildcats, that they're not playing in the same sandbox as those SEC schools, right? They're not necessarily at the peak of their game where everybody in the Big Ten is at. You're playing with different finances. So if you are one of those athletic directors, maybe it is you take a chance on a guy that went to your school, that has ties, deep-rooted ties to your school. That way, when you do get to the point of, hey, we've had a whole hell of a lot of success here, we'd love for this guy to be here for the next 20, 25 years, well, then maybe it's time you stop looking in the traditional sense of a guy who's been doing it for 15, 20 years, has so much success, but again, is going to leave at the very first opportunity. Like you said earlier, that's exactly what Jedd Fisch did.
Yeah, it's sad. It's honestly sad. And I'm very publicly on the record of like, do what's best for you, do what's best for your family and all of that. But I'm also in the same boat of don't harm other people while you're doing it. Jedd Fisch leaving in a vacuum, it makes sense. It makes sense. I understand why he's doing it. I don't blame him for doing it. And I think there are probably a lot of U of A fans that if this were handled differently, and you guys can let us know in the comments because there's certainly a lot of you guys here. Let us know, like, if he handled this differently, would you still be remotely as mad as what's going on? Because Saul said in the comments earlier, they're preparing for Fisch to leave next year. But
Yeah.
it's just, it's insane. I swear, man, if Kenny Dillingham did this, I will eat a literal shoe. Like, not a cake shoe. I will eat a literal shoe on air. Because after all of this, hell, 3 hours before all this Jedd Fisch news came out, Kenny Dillingham posted a picture of his son at an ASU hockey game talking about how excited he is for him to grow up rooting for ASU.
With
if
his grandparents.
If he makes a heel turn, I don't know. I'll retire. I'm not sure what I'm going to do because it's just that's not going to happen. And it's unfortunate that Jedd Fisch and the turn on him as well has been incredible to see him be peddled as a snake oil salesman. When 3 weeks ago he was one of the greatest coaches in college football. It's just I'm interested to see where U of A goes after this. Yeah, where U of A goes after this, and like what kind of season do they have next year? Like, genuinely have no clue what this team's going to look like, who's going to be coaching them, like what the morale level is going to be. And for that to be put upon Wildcat fans, just what? How many weeks has it been since the Alamo Bowl? Like 2,
I don't know,
3,
4 weeks maybe. It's been about a month probably.
Like, it's a month since you were like, oh my gosh, a 10-win season and we're a top 10 team in college football. To this, I'm sorry, it's sweet. Because if the roles were reversed, y'all would be dancing in the streets.
If you're an Arizona State fan right now, again, you're doing exactly what we said we were going to be doing on Friday. You're popping bottles because Jedd Fisch leaving to Washington is a giant win for Arizona State. And again, we're going to talk about the implications and all that stuff and what it means for Arizona State here in just a little bit. I do want to get to, I think Zendeva is the name in the chat. Jedd Fisch lied. He lied to the school. He lied to the players. He lied to the community. Arizona was the only school to give him a chance and took all of 3 minutes to kick Arizona in the teeth. Absolutely. And look, I will, again, pull back the curtain a little bit into how I figured this out, right? Into how this news kind of hit me. Is I'm sitting on the couch. I'm watching television. It's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm watching Game of Thrones, right? Just running it back. It's Sunday. I'm having a good time. And I get a call, a FaceTime call from a source, right? And they're like, do you see what's happened? Is this legit? Like, is Jedd Fisch really gone? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He's like, PHNX Wildcats or PHNX Sports tweeted it. I'm like, 1 second. So I go check it, and sure enough, Jedd Fisch. I'm like, oh my goodness. First thing to leave his mouth, Arizona is screwed. And it's the truth. Arizona right now, again, you are in full panic mode if you are an Arizona Wildcat because guess what? Things move quickly in college football. You saw it. Nick Saban retired what? Tuesday of last week? Is that accurate? A couple days in between then? Kalen DeBoer bounces from Washington, head coach at Alabama. And now you got Jedd Fisch, who's rocking purple, getting ready to be a Washington Husky. The portal is coming, and again, the same way that it was for Bama, the same way that it was for Washington, is going to be the same way that it is for the Arizona Wildcats, Eric. Open season on the Arizona Wildcats roster.
Oh, yeah, and Short Bus even mentions it in the chat. When we were talking last week about Jacob Kungaika came, and it sounded like the program was going to be a mess anyway. Like, things were not all sweet over there when Jedd Fisch was there. Like, this was not a program that was not going to have some questions going into next season. Were they in a better place than they were a few years ago? Absolutely. Did they have a chance to be a great football team? Absolutely. Like, all of that stuff was still on the table, which made it a little bit more interesting when there were a few leaks coming out there. And when there's smoke, there's fire. And with it's burning real hot. And I cannot take my eyes off the comment section because it's like a mix of ASU fans being like Sharon saying, like, we told you guys, don't get too cocky. Don't get
It's
too high on
beautiful,
your
man.
horse.
It's beautiful.
Like, and it's the same thing, just UofA fans like saying Fisch is a liar. He's maybe a good football coach, but he's a fraud. Like everything can change in an instant, and that's why when you see somebody like Kenny, you can kind of bank on his consistency like that. That's very, very reassuring. And I mean, there might be players that follow him up to Washington. There were a lot of players on that roster that were Jedd Fisch guys. I don't know how many, but
and I don't know how many are Jedd Fisch guys after this.
Well, I think Jason Shear put out there that it looks like Jonah Coleman's going to be heading to UW. He said very, very likely. So obviously not like official, but maybe one or two guys. I'm sure that Fisch had his guys on the team, but from what we could tell, like he did not care about everybody on that roster. And says Fisch is to Tucson as Herm is to ASU. That's William Jasper. Are there any similarities to this? I don't know. Like. Both fan bases hate them when it's over, but
the similarity is neither one of them is welcome back in the town that they were coaching. But I'll tell you what, Jedd Fisch, I'm sure he is more than welcome in Tempe right now, bouncing after, again, what transpired. I think he made ASU fans a little happier in the long run with his decision. Again, we're going to continue talking about Jedd Fisch leaving the Arizona Wildcats and what it means for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Look, I pulled back the curtain a little bit earlier telling you about how I found out the news. Today, I'm going to tell you how I started my day. Okay, so last night, Eric, I texted you and I was texting Jacob to see how many people were working from home, how many people were going to the office. I thought that I had sent a message to Jacob saying, hey, how many people are working from the office? And his response was almost everybody. So I initially read it like that. Come to find out this morning as I go to the office all the way from Tempe that nobody's there. I pull out my phone and realize that I misread the message and I missent the text. And so nobody's at the office and I get to make the trek all the way back home. But thankfully, I was able to stop at a Circle K this morning, grab myself a pick-me-up energy drink, a protein shake, and the day is all okay thanks to our friends over at Circle K. They're going to help you guys save some money with their new free membership program called Inner Circle. You guys can save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups and then 3 cents per gallon every single day after that. Not to mention, you're going to get every 6th free on a selection of Circle K products. We're talking pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks, not to mention all the great deals that they have on snacks and energy drinks. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
I cannot believe that. I had no idea that happened. I'm sorry, but that is absolutely hilarious.
It's okay. It's okay. That was my day. Like I said, man, Circle K, I was able to get myself this energy drink, and it's okay. I'm all right. Jedd Fisch is gone. It's a beautiful day.
I was about to say, nothing can ruin this day. And I'm sure you're having a much better one than all the Wildcats fans in the chat right now. Hello, drop a like. And also, if you're looking to cope, it's perfect by going to Illegal Pete's, because right now, today, kick the Monday blues with $3 margaritas all day long. Get rid of those feelings, those thoughts, the memories of Jedd Fisch. Head over to Illegal Pete's, get some irresistible drinks, and while you're there, some mouth-watering food that will fill all your heart's desires. You will forget in an instant just how screwed your football program is. They got bowls, they got tacos, salads, burritos, nachos. They have everything from custom cocktails to beer. So however you want to forget, you have that choice laid out right in front of you. And tomorrow, if you want to come back and kick the hangover, $2 tacos every single Tuesday. Plus, you work in healthcare education. Take your team to lunch at Illegal Pete's every Tuesday and enjoy buy one, get one free entrees. And guess what? They've got happy hour every day, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's all perfect. It's all there right for you. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, beer, and forgetting that your head football coach left for a better program and only talked to your players for 3 minutes afterwards.
Oh my goodness. I love everybody in the chat. Everybody in the chat doing awesome. Love all the comments. Probably one of my favorite comments so far is Lewis Clark saying Cowboys lose, Lions win, U of A is in shambles. A Sunday to remember. Yeah, no, I was thinking specifically today. You know who had probably the worst weekend at PHNX?
Tell me.
There is an answer. It's Damon. Damon by far had the worst weekend at PHNX.
You know what? You are so
He's
right.
a Dolphins fan. He's a Dolphins fan, and he knew from the start of the weekend that he was bound to lose. And then this comes out of nowhere that Jedd Fisch heading to Washington. I feel bad for Damon. Pour one out. Hit that like button for Damon. Poor guy is probably going through it today.
I need to address somebody in the chat. Zendeva, we liked your chat earlier, said, look, ASU got your heads kicked in by Arizona. So what does that say about your dumpster fire of a program? And then I think directly towards me, you're happy. You still suck. Yes. Why are you happy? A, did you not see what happened? That's why I'm happy. B, this program is set up for future success, and we do not have our heads up our asses and are ignoring that because of the record this year. Like, yeah, guess what? UofA showed that you could take a really low football program and turn them into a top 10 team in a couple of years. Guess what's different about us and you? I'm confident that my coach is going to stay after it happens. Even your best case scenario was that he was going to leave after next year. I'm telling you, when Kenny gets the spot that UofA's in, he's going to continue that success beyond and continue to build. He's not going to screw this program over. That's why I'm happy. If you want my answer, there it is.
Ralph with another great point. Herm didn't even do enough. Yeah, Herm didn't even know enough to do us dirty, Glenn. Just wandered around the building for 5 years. No, absolutely.
He got up early, though. He got up early.
He got up really early, worked out at a great time. But look, I think a lot of what stems around this time of year in terms of the hatred for a lot of these coaches that leave, whether it be, NFL gigs or college jobs, is around this time, specifically when you get to really good programs, there are coaches that talk about the fact that they are happy where they're at. They don't want to leave. They're not looking for another opportunity. And Jedd Fisch, similar to a bunch of other coaches, discussed this very topic on Jim Rome just last week. This is what Jedd Fisch had to say on Jim Rome about not leaving Arizona.
Yeah, it is. And I appreciate you asking. I think right now we're just working through semantics to get this deal done. I think we're very, very close. We want to be done here very soon. And we want to be a part of this program for a long time. I've moved a lot in this business to be able to be here today, to become a head coach in a Power 5 program, to win 10 games, to be a top 15 team, hopefully a top 10. And we've got 18 out of 22 returning starters next year. So I have no interest in going anywhere. I have a lot of interest in seeing if we can get to that CFP. And there's 12 teams in it next year. And
you smell that, Eric? You smell that?
It smells fishy.
It smells like bullshit. That's what it smells like to me. Oh my goodness.
God. That's just terrible.
That's tough, man. That's tough if you're a UofA fan and you're watching that and you're just like, you feel good. You feel good where you're at, man. And if you're a Sun Devil watching that, prior to the news that came out this weekend, I feel like you're like, you know what? You can respect Jedd Fisch. I have a lot of respect for Jedd Fisch as a coach, or at least I did prior to the move on Sunday, right? That is where I get my opinions on coaches is, yes, part of it is what you do with the program, but a lot of it is how you leave, right? Is how you go about showing these young men that there are ways to go about certain situations. Because what are coaches, right? Coaches are teachers, and the best coaches are the ones that care about these kids beyond the gridiron, okay? And you hear it time and again that the best coaches, the coaches that kids want to play for, are A, the ones that they can relate to, and B, the ones that are going to keep it real and give it to them straight. Jedd Fisch, from the moment that this started circulating to the way things transpired at the end of it, it's just, people talked about it already in the chat. It just feels dirty, and it feels like he was a bad salesman is what it felt like. It felt like he sold you a crock of shit in Tucson. And again, if you're a Wildcat fan, I'm not going to sit here and say I feel bad for you. But again, to your point earlier, Eric, I feel bad for the players, for those young kids who, they were in the living rooms with their parents. And Jedd Fisch sold them this idea that he was going to be here for X amount of years and help this team get to where they wanted to be. I feel bad for the kids who opted to leave other universities, who hit the portal and moved their life across the country to live in the shithole that you guys call Tucson and start, the rest of their college career. And now what? He doesn't give a shit. The great ones, the 18 of the 22 starters that he had at the University of Arizona, how many of them are going to bounce to Washington? I don't have a legit answer on that because I got to feel like, yes, there's part of them that are like, yeah, Jedd Fisch, great football coach. And there's probably part of those kids that are like, dude, you fucking lied to us. And not only did you lie to us, but you just like 3 minutes in that's all they meant to you is 3 minutes of your time. You're just signing millions and millions of dollars away to go coach another program. And those kids that you have been with for how many years that you stuck through they stuck through the mud with you through the 1-win season, the 3-win seasons, whatever. In 3 minutes, you spent a minute for every year that you were there. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, Eric.
Yeah, it's completely fucked up. I do genuinely feel bad for all of the kids and the players there, and hell, even a lot of the coaches who were completely blindsided by this. Like, we're not assholes. We're not going to sit up here and be like, there's not a personal element to it. But then there's the overarching fact of all of this that UofA got screwed, and that makes us happy. So both of those things are true at the same time. Back to that video, though. It's not that he's a bad salesman. He's a great salesman. He sold them on everything. They were hook, line, sinker, sold on the Jedd Fisch story. And that man is a stone cold liar.
Yeah, man.
To their faces on big national outlets saying, yeah, oh my gosh, the deal? Of course. Why would you ask about the deal? It's almost done. I want to be here. We have all these returning starters. They mean a lot to me. We're going to build something great. Also, bye. I'm out of here because I got the first opportunity. Yeah, it's more money. It's more resources. That's great. You are a snake. You are a snake, and you will build a reputation for yourself as a snake. And when shit either flames out in Washington or you leave Washington for somewhere else after a couple of years, because that's just what Jedd Fisch does, eventually players are going to catch on to your shtick. It's sad to see a grown man do this without any self-awareness. None at all. Go ahead.
I will say, no, you're good. You're good. Not only it's not only Jedd Fisch's issue, right? And this is again kind of where I want to get back to the conversation about Arizona State and Arizona, because let's be real, Arizona fans, and you guys had the absolute right to give shit to ASU for Ray Anderson. By all means, right? You threw the jokes, you threw the tomatoes, you talked your shit. Ray's gone. But guess what? Oh, how the turntables, because your athletic department fumbled the bag on this one. You had every opportunity to give Jedd Fisch a contract extension, every opportunity to make him one of the highest paid coaches in the moving to the Big 12, right? To solidify your future. As soon as the Alamo Bowl ended, that's what should have been priority number one. And those doors should have been locked, sealed, thrown away the key until that deal was done. And it wasn't. Your athletic department fumbled the bag. Your athletic director had no sense of the current situation that was going on in his football program. And now this is where you're at. So if you're an Arizona Wildcat and you threw tons and tons of hate and shit at Arizona State because of the Ray Anderson situation, mind you, who is no longer the athletic director at Arizona State, then you are going to sit there and you are going to take the shit that ASU fans are going to throw your way because your athletic department is just as bad, if not more, at fault for this entire situation. Because mind you, not only did they fumble the bag with Jedd Fisch, but who did you hire before Jedd? Kevin fucking Sumlin, who was just as much of a bum as Herm Edwards was at ASU. So you could take all that to the bank, because that's the situation for the Arizona Wildcats and their athletic department. Yeah,
it was somewhat of their own fault. I don't know at the end of the day, even if they did have a contract extension right on the brink and it was Jedd Fisch holding off, and then he jumps over to Washington. Okay, but I mean, this has not been a banner year for U of A's athletic department. Missing some money, losing out on Jedd Fisch. And it's unfortunate. We have David in the chat.
It's unfortunate for U of A, but we don't give a shit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, come on, bro. If you have not already known that for the first 40 minutes of this, welcome to the pod. And the copium is so bad down south. Now we're talking about the nature. David says Tucson has mountains, canyons, and a national park. Tempe has a stagnant fake lake. Have you ever been to Tempe? And have you ever just looked around? Notoriously not many mountains in sight. Come on, bro. Come on, dude. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. There are mountains. Maybe there's no canyons, but guess what? I'll take a stable football program with a head coach who wants to be here over some canyons, okay? So, and Zendeva is going crazy in the chat. Our fault. All we did was believe a liar.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault as a fan. It's your fault as in the program.
We're not victim blaming.
Yeah, it's not your fault that Jedd Fisch left. It's the athletic department's fault, along with Jedd. But look, we talked about the incompetence of the Arizona athletic director. I want to talk to you a little bit and show you, I guess, a competent athletic director, and that is Washington's AD, Troy Dannon. This marvelous video was posted to his social media, and we'll go ahead and show you here. This is him actually at Jedd Fisch's house signing the new contract.
How we doing, man?
I was hoping you'd answer the door. I think our days are going the same right now.
They're all the same right now. All right.
That's all right, my friend. I look forward to working with you.
Man, this will be great. I look forward to it. I'll give you everything I have. I can tell you that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What do you think of that, Eric?
Stone cold. Just absolute F-U, middle finger to the city of Tucson and all UofA supporters. Guys, that was in Tucson, your home turf, with the beautiful canyons and a national park right around it. He signed that contract looking at that national park, okay? Listen, that is probably some of the most stone cold shit I've ever seen. To post that on your social media the same day, though that video was a third as long as the meeting he had with his players. No. Like, it is insane. And for him to be like, I'm going to give you everything I got. For how long? Because there's no chance he's there for the entire 7 years of his contract. Zero chance. None. Oh, it's just, man, they got done real dirty. They did.
And Philip, I want to get to his comment in the chat, but in Jedd's defense, Washington did go to the national title game. It's hard to turn that down considering he had no ties to Arizona. I get that. I fully understand that. And that, for me, is where a lot of the blame shifts off of Jedd and toward the Arizona athletic department for not getting this extension done, because it is something that I think everybody in the Valley, everybody in college football that paid attention, specifically to the Pac-12, moving to the Big 12, and saw the growth that Jedd Fisch was dealing with and moving toward in Tucson. I think the expectation was that they were going to make him a high-paid coach and that they were going to do everything in their power to make sure that he was the next, long-tenured coach of the Arizona Wildcats, regardless of people in the chat, regardless of Arizona fans saying that they expected Jedd to leave after next season. Regardless of the expectation, you should make an effort and make it a deal that he can't refuse. And if he does, then at the end of the day, you know what you can say to your fan base? We gave it everything we had in our pursuit of Jedd Fisch. It just didn't work out at the end of the day. We're going to make it our number one priority to ensure that this program doesn't lose a step. But that hasn't been the case, right? I'm pretty sure on the PHNX Wildcats show earlier today, there was either Jason Shearer or Mike Luke was talking about Arizona interviewing Cal's head coach for the same position at UofA. Show me why Cal football, show me why that head coach deserves to be having his name tossed around a way too early top 15 team. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
That falls on the athletic department.
I mean, look, here's the thing. If he had the contract extension signed 2 weeks ago, it wouldn't have mattered that the job opening opened up and that DeBoer left for Alabama and that UW opened up. And I said this at the beginning of the show. I'll repeat it again for everybody here. Please leave a like, subscribe, listen on audio. If you can't tune into our live shows every day, leave us 5 stars there as well. But I don't blame him for leaving, especially since I'm not a U of A fan, clearly.
Exactly.
I don't blame him. More money, better city, better conference, better program. I don't blame him. It's how he left. And it's leaving after all the bullshit that he spewed and completely screwing over people when he did have it in his power to at least make them feel heard, to at least make them feel important, to at least not just make it seem like he was chomping at the bit to get out of Tucson. Like,
Yeah.
You could have handled it a completely different way, still taken the job, still gotten the better position and the more money, and people to view you differently. Would UofA fans still be upset? Yeah, but I wouldn't be sitting here talking about how much they got screwed over with a smile on my face if he actually gave a shit about the program, which he clearly did not. Clearly, because not even his assistant coaches were informed on this. There were reports that people were walking in there just like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's different when it feels like he kind of went out of his way to screw the program. Like, you're not going to have to buy any drinks in Tempe, Jedd. You're just not. You're not.
Jedd, come down to Tucson. I'll buy you a drink myself, man. We could shoot the shit. We could talk about, screwing over the University of Arizona. A couple comments in the chat I do want to get to. LTC, Mike Luke is hoping the next head coach has a little Dilly in him. Absolutely, man. Everybody wants a coach with the same level of passion and commitment to that specific university. Also want to get to, again, Zendavi's just on a roll, man. On an absolute roll. I love it. Don't stop. Don't stop. She says, it's cool that these guys are talking about Arizona. They certainly aren't talking about ASU. Wonder why. Well, look, we're going to be talking about Arizona State here in just a second. But look, Eric, you brought up the fact that Jedd Fisch left for a better opportunity, right? Better opportunity at UW. Better money and better school colors. Take a look at Jedd Fisch here in his brand new profile picture on Twitter. He even tweeted it out, #profile picture. And the best thing about this, aside from the fact that Jedd, I'll give you credit, man, you look great in purple. But the fact that you got that Arizona Wildcats little emblem right next to your blue check mark is damn sweet, man. Damn sweet.
I remember seeing this tweet, so lovely, just popping up on my timeline in all of its beauty. And then I notice, oh, wait, what's that next to his name? He couldn't even wait for the damn logo next to his name to change on Twitter. That's how excited he was to dump the University of Arizona. Yeah. Like, this is like getting broken up with after a long-term relationship where you're supposed to get married, and then literally 5 minutes later you see them posting on Instagram with somebody else talking about they're the love of my life. Literally, and their profile picture still their profile picture still has you in it, and the picture on the timeline something different. Like, that is what this is. Plus, to Zendavi's comment about we don't talk about ASU, what do you think we do the other 4 days out of the week? This opportunity only comes around once in, I would say, a lifetime, but there's a couple times that stuff like this happens where it's just so funny that something like this happens to your rival and that you kind of have to hop on it and talk about it. Like, this is the story of the moment. We would be doing ASU fans a disservice by not talking about UofA. Trust me, we're going to be talking about everything ASU for a long, long, long time, but this will only be so sweet right now. It's so sweet. I'm getting a little like bubble popping up next to my face.
I love it. What? Just a little thumbs up?
I don't know why. Just
hit that like button. Hit that like button. Yeah, hit that like button. Look, one other point about Arizona before we really dive into what this means for Arizona State. Again, had a conversation this morning, and if you listen to the PHNX Wildcat show earlier this morning, which I imagine a lot of ASU fans didn't, and rightfully so, unless you were in there to troll, sounds like there was a players meeting at Arizona earlier today, and the consensus is there's a lot of players that would like Johnny Nansen to be the next head coach of the Arizona Wildcats. And from that show, the PHNX Wildcat show, from what they said, it sounds like there are players that would stay, a lot of players that do want Nansen to be the next head coach. If he is, they'll consider staying. Otherwise, it doesn't look great for the Arizona Wildcats. But we could see exactly what's to come here in the next probably 72 hours with the Arizona Wildcats, because as you know, things move quickly in college football, and things move quickly on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. We're talking all the different lines, spreads, totals, player props, everything that you can bet over on that app, and they've still got a great deal for you. We're talking free money, super easy to take advantage of this deal. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account. Place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. And once you've placed a bet, you're going to receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Again, sign up for BetMGM and use that bonus code PHNX. We're talking about our BetMGM parlay picks here. Eric, you know what I like today because we got 2 wild card games. Let's just keep it simple. Give me the Bills minus 10. I'm sorry. I don't think Mason Rudolph is going to cut it when it comes to a playoff game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And give me the Bucs money line over the Philadelphia Eagles. I like it. The Eagles have been frauds all season long. A.J. Brown doesn't look like he's playing. Bucs are on a roll. Give me Bills minus 10. Give me the Bucs money line. Parlay that together for my BetMGM parlay picks.
Is there a way to parlay the under for UofA wins next year with the over for Washington?
I'm sure you could.
Is that up on the BetMGM sportsbook yet? Because I would like to put that down.
You can do just about anything on that BetMGM Sportsbook app. Again, just to recap, sign up for BetMGM and use that bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $5. And you guys are going to receive $158 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 Nevada. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
I can't say it, but I'll say get stuff Tucson. I could do that. I could do that.
There you go. Oh my goodness, man. I
want to talk about ASU. You want to talk about ASU?
Talk about ASU.
Give people what they want.
I mean, yeah, we could do it. We might as well, right? Talking about. Go ahead. What you got for me?
Right. First, I got to tell you about the bank that every single ASU fan should use. The credit union, I should say. That's Desert Financial Credit Union because they are the official retail banking partner of Arizona State University. And for more than 84 years, see, that's real commitment, Jedd. 84 years, not free. 84 years. Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make their lives better. I can attest to this personally. I've been using DFCU for my entire life. Always been very helpful for any questions I have about money or if I lose my debit card, which happens from time to time. They always are being so helpful, able to help me replace it. Plus, if you're an ASU fan or a UofA fan looking to maybe support a new college, go ahead and get you an ASU Visa debit card. You got 3 designs you can choose from. Put your forks up every time you make a purchase, and you can do that with their new Visa debit cards. Now, it's time to show your ASU team spirit, but open a free checking account online. You can get even more spirited because you get a free $200. So go do that. desertfinancial.com/ASU to get started.
I respect the delusion that is the Arizona Wildcat fan base. I love it. I love you guys. I know we have our beef. Look, one thing that we can all rally around together is our hatred for Colorado and everything that goes on over there. It is funny. I was telling people I managed to piss off the entire Arizona Wildcat fan base on Thursday, only to piss off all of Colorado on Friday. And then here we are on Sunday and Monday again. And I managed to piss off that fan base yet again. But hey, that's what we do. That's what we do here at PHNX Sun Devils. Aside from talking about all things Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State, this immediately has an impact on the Sun Devils. We're talking Jedd Fisch leaving the Arizona Wildcats for the Washington Huskies. Let's be real. Like, the implications are massive for Arizona State, aside from things going on with the Wildcats and that administration and that athletic department. For Arizona State, immediately you're talking, I'm not even talking about the portal yet, but in-state recruiting. In-state recruiting, to know that Dilly means business. That when you have a guy that wants to be at Arizona State, it means something special. There are going to be players that were committed to the Arizona Wildcats to stay in the Valley that now don't know who is going to be that head coach, that maybe reconsider Arizona State. And we're not talking just the class of 2024. Mind you, there still is signing day here in just a few weeks, I believe. We're talking 2025, 2026. Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham have now taken an advantage over the Arizona Wildcats and whoever is going to be that head coach because they're here. Because they're here, they want to be here, and you can kind of start to see the trajectory that Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham are trying to be on. I think in-state recruiting is going to skyrocket for the Arizona State Sun Devils now more than ever with Jedd Fisch out of Tucson?
Yeah, he was already like starting to really sink his teeth into the state, and it was probably a little bit difficult for him to have another in-state person come in and have a really good program. But I think he's going to do great. I think he's going to be able to sink his teeth in and get a couple more recruits for sure.
And then, I mean, look, you're talking about the portal as well, right? The transfer portal as it relates to the number of starters that were returning for the Arizona Wildcats. 18 of 22, I believe. We know Jonah Coleman hitting the portal. He tweeted actually right before the show that he loves Tucson forever. Just not he tweeted that, but clearly he doesn't love them enough to stick around. I think as it relates to Arizona State going after guys in the portal, if you can go get more guys that want to stay in the Valley, that now have a newfound hatred for the Arizona Wildcats and that program, especially in the trenches, man, that's your opportunity. That's your opportunity right there.
Yeah, without a doubt, there's a huge opportunity ahead of them. And I think that if anybody is prepared for it, it's somebody who's already been preaching like, hey, community, loyalty, like I'm going to stick around here. And I've been preaching that since before all of this happened. And now you can see what happens to a football program that if you commit to them and they're not really telling you the truth, and by them, I either mean the head coach, not necessarily the entire university, because I'm sure they were a little bamboozled as well. But you can see how all of this can go south very quickly if I'm not a man of my word. So that's why I'm proving to you that I am. Here's what I'm going to do for you, your family, your future, your success on field. And if 3 years from now you decide that this still isn't the place for you, I'm going to wish you well. I'm going to shake your hand and I'm going to tell you, hey, this guy was great. Go out, do great things. And I'll be one of your biggest advocates. And in an era now where it's all about these personal relationships with players, it's all about being able to have somebody who is maybe out there in the transfer portal, out there high in the recruiting rankings, who's getting wined and dined and having money thrown at them from left and from right. You got to bring the money for sure. And that's something that ASU is definitely working on. But then if you're able to give them stability, you're able to give them honesty, you're able to give them something real. Yeah. As we continue to progress down this line in college football, that's going to mean something, especially when you see programs like UofA, like if for some reason, like doesn't matter who they hire next year, they just kind of plummet or they get half their amount of wins or the program just never hits that same heights that they did from this past season. That's just going to prove to show that you can get screwed over and make every single right decision for you just because a head coach wants to go somewhere else. Yeah. And if that happens, you have no control over it.
It's again, Arizona State, without even having to move a muscle yesterday, jumped in such an advantageous position in the state of Arizona. Transfer portal, recruiting, locally and nationally, fan bases around the Valley that we've talked about this months ago. If you want this rivalry to be something, yes, both these programs have to be elite, but you also have to raise this conversation, right? If you're in an Arizona home, whether you're a transplant or you're somebody that was born and raised here, you've got to spark the conversation of Arizona or Arizona State. And Ralph nailed it when he was on one of the ASU football postgame shows, that you have to make this the question of the Valley the same way that nationally, hey, Jordan or Braun, right? Brady Montana. National questions that even if you don't like football, you don't like basketball, you got an answer, right? So locally in the Valley, now is the time to press the gas, okay? Press the gas on that question for everybody locally. Hey, Arizona State or Arizona, right? And you're going to get people that say, hey, Arizona. And now is the time that you could be like, hey, guess what? Their coach just bounced. Like their players are going to hit the portal. Their athletic department misplaced $200-something million. They couldn't get an extension on a 10-win football coach. Like right now, that program is in shambles. And something that's getting lost in all of it as we talk about football is, guess what? Arizona basketball just lost to Washington State a couple days ago, okay? Arizona State, to my knowledge, I haven't checked the standings in a couple days. I believe it's still second or third in Pac-12 standings as it relates
I'll fact check for you right now.
Pac-12 basketball, man. It's a great day to be an Arizona State Sun Devil. It is a great time to be an Arizona State Sun Devil. And there are going to be trolls. They're going to be trolls. They're going to be little gremlins in my mentions and in the chats talking about how much UofA is still better than Arizona State or how much I don't know what I'm talking about. And that is all good. I just want to let all of you Wildcats know that when I go to sleep and I'm on my knees, bowing my head, and I'm praying, I just want you to know that I'm including you guys in that prayer, okay? I want you guys to be able to sleep easy with your football program, knowing that it's going to go down. It's going to sink, okay? It's going to get worse before it gets better for you guys. It's okay now. And if you want to come over to the good side, the good guys, the Arizona State Sun Devils, Kenny will welcome you with open arms, okay? He loves Tempe. He loves Arizona State University. And again, even if you're a troll, even if you're a gremlin, we still love you here in the PHNX Sun Devil Show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, give us a 5-star review. We do this 5 days a week, sometimes more, but that is going to do it for the PHNX Sun Devil Show today. Guys, one final thing before we get out of here. We have this lovely thing called a Die Hard membership over at gophnx.com. Go check it out on the website. You're going to get a ton of perks for it. You're going to be paying for the year on top of getting discounts on merch, events. We also have exclusive content just for diehards. I know we've actually got a few diehards in the chat. Sharon, Chris, a bunch of other folks in there. Check it out. Take their word for it if you don't believe me. One of my favorite perks about the whole thing is the diehard Discord that we have, where we're having the same conversation that's going on in the YouTube chat right now. We're having that on a daily basis in the diehard Discord. And it's not just ASU. If you're a Wildcat fan, we've got that too. All respect to you. Diehards are diehards wherever they're at. Cardinals, Suns, Coyotes, Diamondbacks, Rising, etc. We have it all here at PHNX. Again, head over to gophnx.com today. Check it out for yourself. But like I said earlier, that is going to do it for today's show. If you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me on social at Anthony_Totri. You could follow my main man, Eric Ruby, at Eric Ruby. That is Eric with a K on social. And you can follow DJ Danielle at Abrica Danielle across social media as well. We appreciate everybody here. Arizona State, Arizona fans, you're all welcome in our chat. Two things as usual. Go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.